Is the nation's aviation manpower depleted and aging? This is the first question the Acting Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Benedict Adeileka, answered as he speaks with Aviation this week.
We have a gap in the middle. Nigeria has gone through a stage that we stopped training younger ones in aviation. But that is catching up now. And that is why we have experience. Because in aviation, experience, unlike other professions, experience is very key in aviation. The pilots go through their pilot training school, and it depends on what type of course. It takes like about a year, 18 months. The engineers take longer because probably they have more modules, and once they come out of school, that is just the beginning of their training. They both come out with basic licenses: pilot license, engineer license, air traffic controller license, cabin crew license, dispatcher licenses. There are different categories: flight engineers license, different types: aeronautical station operators license, air traffic controller, etc.
The NCA as a regulator, do you have a database about the manpower deficiency?
We have, yes, a database. How we collate the database is we do regular audits at the airline. When we certify an airline, depends on the size of the airline, depends on the size of the aircraft they have, or number of aircraft they have, and the size of the aircraft they have. It also depends on the number of aircraft they want to maintain in case of maintenance repair organization. So we give them a minimum number that they must have. Then they can build on that. And we do. That is how we collate our database. And secondly, we license them. All licensed personnel, let me put it like that, either pilot license or aircraft maintenance engineer's license or cabin crew license, flight engineer's license, flight dispatcher license, air traffic safety electronic personnel license, aeronautical station operator's license, air traffic controller's license, any form of license, we control them. We issue them, we monitor them, we make sure that they are kept current, and we make sure there are recurrences that are required by law, different from the pilot, different from cabin crew, different from aircraft maintenance engineer. So that is how we manage to collate the database. Then that is why we actually notice that we have shortage of personnel. However, one thing I like to stress is the aviation industry is very global. No nation really can be self-sufficient because we have a lot of Nigerian qualified pilots and engineers and cabin crew who worked overseas. Likewise, we have foreign pilots and engineers that works in Nigeria, but we also still keep a database and make sure that that is how we know that, yes, we have shortage of manpower. The NCA is doing a lot. We have a very robust training program to train our personnel, and we now mandate the airline. It is mandatory. Training is mandatory for the airline.
Can you just tell us how many pilots we have, how many are currently trained, and all of that?
According to records, pilot license, we have 6,621 licenses on that database. The ones that had valid current license are 759. Some of them are probably out of medical. Some of them are probably doing desk job and they don't bother to renew their license. You know, some of them are flying overseas and they're using their foreign license. Some of them are probably foreigners that they came to the country and they've gone back to their country and they have not bothered to renew their license. That is what causes disparity in the two. Then we have certificate of validation. So we validated 2,157 pilots. Validated means people who has brought in foreign licenses, and we have proved we have a way of means of validating their license. They will do our law locally, make sure they have to pass our local law. Then we now validate it the license they have. They don't have to go through all the exams and everything. The validation, we have to write to respective authority and they reply us. That is how this one works. So we have the current one that are valid now is 162, which is good. The lower the number, the better for us. So aircraft maintenance engineer's license is the same procedure. We have 3,409 on the engineer's license plan. The ones that have current license now, current valid license, we have 1,122, 1123, which is good. They're likely to be higher than that, which is good. Then we have cabin crew licenses. The cabin crew licenses on the database, we have 3,471. We have 1,108 that are valid. Flight engineer's license, that is understandable. We have 256 on our database. We have 3 current valid license. So that's the third man crew is only on old aircraft that we have that. Then the flight dispatchers. For the reasons of safety, the personnel that dispatches the aircraft, we license them, we train them for load and balance, fueling, weather. All those areas are very critical. What we do then is we take that pressure away from the pilot. So we have some professionals at the background that prepares all this load sheet, get the weather forecast. And what the pilots are doing now, they're doing what we call an oversight. Then when they bring it to him, then he looks at it. Because it is mandatory now that you cannot depart, without having your weather, both the local weather, en route weather, and the destination weather. So the flight dispatcher license is something we're encouraging now. We have 484 on our database. We have 257 current. Air traffic safety electronic personnel license. They're the engineers, the air traffic engineers. We have 382 on our database. We have 228 valid. So probably those other ones are either retired or they've gone overseas to work. Aeronautical station operator's license. That's another area. We have 134 on our database. We have 122 valid as of today. Air traffic controller's license. We have 578 on our database, and we have 202 valid. So maybe later we have the training organizations like Nigerian Civil Aviation Training Center in Zaria, which is the oldest. They train pilots, and they train engineers. We have Ilorin, International Aviation College in Ilorin. They train pilots. Then we have another 2 in Ilorin that trains pilots. Then we have the Air Force Institute of Technology in Kaduna, which they also train engineers. They do postgraduate diplomas and everything in Nigeria. So those are the training. What we're trying to do now, we're trying to encourage this training are very expensive. It is very unfortunate that some parents will have to borrow money, take loan in the bank to train them. Now, another program we're looking into now, we're looking into appealing to the industry. I don't know how government can help us. To try and mandate the industry. In all fairness to some airlines, they're doing it very well. The federal government too have to come in. The federal government used to train. When they train pilots and engineers. When they qualify, then they might put them in aero contractors bridge. So that's what used to happen. All those are, disappeared now. We're trying to bring the awareness out now. We're trying to encourage the airlines and operators to train our youth. Is very, very important.
They are the movie stars of the Air Transportation Show. Our feature is on some of the women running the show in this male-dominated field in Nigeria.
Flying an airplane somewhat is fun. Getting paid to do it is even better. For some people, it's the perfect job. An office that travels, a view that's constantly changing, and challenges that are exhilarating. Only about 450 women worldwide are airline captains. That's according to the International Society of Women Airline Pilots. In Nigeria, over 6,000 pilots are on the roll call, a figure from the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, which includes foreigners who fly in and out of the country. Among the large number are a special few, the female pilots. Chinyere Kalu, Nigeria's first female pilot. Blessing Liman, Nigeria's first female military pilot. Bolaji Agbelusi, captain of the all-female crew flight in 2009, and Husseina and Hassana Edili Ogaji. A lot more are also in the business. Meet Imole Ayo Adebule, Tululokbeita, Faith Udushola Begnim, Mercy Udushola Ehonhon. Imole Ayo is 25 and has been flying for a while, a passion born out of coincidence.
I wanted to be an engineer initially, but couldn't get into the university early enough. I'd spent, it was my third year at home, and I was like, I'm done, I'm tired of sitting at home. Gave the aviation school in Zaria a try, and they had some engineering courses ongoing at that time, but as fate would have it, it had started a couple of months before I went in for the program, and I was advised, try the pilot course. I was like, what is, I don't want to fly, I just want to be an engineer, I want to fix stuffs. And they were like, I think you'd look better as a pilot. I was like, okay, all right. Talked about it, went around, got a few people in the industry, spoke to them, and everyone that saw me was like, I think you should give it a try, give it a try, give it a try. And I went in for it, and here I am today.
Tolu got here by determination.
I'm a pilot because I have a license. The test of being a pilot is every time you go for sim, you always have to remind yourself, yes, because really autopilot can fly on a smooth day, but really what makes a pilot is what happens in an emergency, which is what you really get to practice during simulator training. So test of being I've never really had a serious online emergency per se, but in simulator, yes, you face a challenge, you overcome it. It reassures you that yes, when you face it online in a similar situation, yes, you can overcome it. So,
Faith and Mercy are daughters of a father who was a pilot.
Everybody can drive a car, but then some people know the rules of the road and some don't. You know, some people know speed limits and all of that. So all the extras is what makes you an exceptional pilot. And if you don't have a basic knowledge of maths, physics, some science subjects from school days, it will be very hard for you to understand the mathematical parts of aviation. So, I mean, you don't really have to be exceptional or be an A student of maths in school. But if you understand the basic, I think with flying, you can also be a better pilot.
She inspired me a lot into flying as well. You know, when you see someone doing what you want to do and you see how they lay the parts and they give you advice, it makes the footpath easier.
On the job, they say there is no woman.
Right from flying school up to when I joined the airline, there has not been any form of discrimination or you get certain things because you're female or captains treat you a certain way. It has not happened. So
Around the airport,
Flying does come with its own risks.
we came in, we had not exceeded any limitation. Everything was fine. The aircraft was still, but it was like pitch black on around 12 in the afternoon. It was dark, 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 dark. I was like, oh, goodness. And she was like, oh, everything, you know, she stayed calm. I was like, she's calm. I don't have a choice. I have to be calm too and everything. And we made the landing. Upon landing, it was all, the airport was dry, like dry, dry, dry. No rain at all. And passengers were disembarking and they were like, oh, it's even 2 female pilots. Oh, thank you very much, blah, 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 blah. And all of that. And I was like, oh, really, that day I was saying to my mind, Lord, if I come down, I will never fly again in my life. And it was so, and the next day I was called out. Actually, we had to go back again for another flight. And I was like, and she was like, are you ready? I was like, yes, can I say?
When all is said and done, an airline pilot has a first-class seat window with a view chance to see the world, watch heaven's light dance, and count the stars in the blackest nights.
That's where we disembark on this edition. Please remember to reach us on our feedback platform. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi. See you next week.